It seemed like an eternity ago that we decided to all celebrate tonight together. All right. This is me. Okay. A combined age of 170 is quite impressive, although I think that number is significantly boosted by the oldest bastard of all.
I expect it to be abused.
Tony's been a very important part of my life for over 40 years now. When I first met him, I would have been around 9 years old. Our family spent many a long summer together, and I have very fond memories of those times. We all emigrated to Australia together, and when my family went back to the UK, both Tony and Janice thought they would add another teenager to the mix. Very kindly took me in. I will always be grateful to them for both being there for me, not just back then, but always since. Tony used to enjoy teasing the shit out of me when I was younger. Now you reserve that teasing for the grandchildren, although they are now mostly older and give it straight back to you. Riley loves his power who puts washing up liquid in the dishwasher and floods my kitchen floor with soap suds. And makes the best pancakes. I'm so grateful for everything you've done for me and love you very much. Hope the legs manage to last the distance tonight, old man. This will of course be directly proportionate to the amount of red wine you consume.
I'm not used to this old crap.
There's loads more of it to come.
When Chris and I decided to celebrate our 50th birthdays together, we realised that in honour of the fact we've been friends for 50 years, this was the perfect occasion for us to write about what our friendship means to each other. This is how we sold it to each other. The reality is it's a golden opportunity to publicly slag each other off. Given that he's far more eloquent than me, I've wisely opted to go first, and I know without doubt that wordy bastard will relish in the chance to put loads of massive little-known words into his speech because he's a complete twat and can't help himself when it comes to vocabulary. Putting thought to what my long-term best friend meant to me, I thought it was best to begin with comparing him on the international friendship scale to see how he measured up. Firstly, does he remember important occasions? Sometimes. He remembers my birthday only because it's Australia Day and I usually feed him. Does he call to chat to see how you are? Never. He calls only when he has a reason to. He wants something. He tries very hard to disguise the real purpose of the phone call with a bit of idle chit-chat at the beginning of the call, but quickly loses patience with this and moves on to the real reason for the call. I amuse myself by stretching out the idle chit-chat just to irritate him.
That's so Marianne.
Is he a good source of gossip? Absolutely shit. He never knows any good gossip and would forget to mention it even if he did. Does he notice if I've had my hair done, lost half my body weight, lost a leg, or have spent hours getting dolled up to go out? Never. He's the most unobservant person I've ever met. If you ask him what he thought to your dress, his reply is usually, "It's a dress, it looks like all your other dresses." Dinner equality. Is there an equal providing of meals to each other? Another fail. He arrives at dinner time on a regular basis, and the reality is we have a massive difference of opinion on the use-by dates of food. So I'll let this one slide as I'm not keen to eat at his house and cop a bollocking for smelling his milk on a regular basis. The more I realised how badly he scored on the international friend scale, I started to think back to our friendship over the years. Maybe he would redeem himself there. For those that may not know, we've been friends since birth. Our mums were good friends, and so we first learnt to torment each other as babies. In what was the tone to be set for the next 50 years, he began by stealing my dummy on a regular basis. This progressed over the years to multiple childhood spats. He once threw me off a swing on seaside holidays and had to suffer an entire afternoon sitting inside the caravan with his mum for that one. Much to my delight. He once told me that when I was beating him at chess that if he knocked his king over, the game was automatically a draw. In later years, he would lie in wait for me outside the bathroom to scare the crap out of me to the point where I developed a phobia about coming out of doors in the dark. He thought it was hilarious to chuck an entire pot of Condy's crystals in my bath to try and dye me pink. He refused to leave the bathroom as he knew I wouldn't get out of the bath. To maximise the stain time, I had to scour my legs after that one. I lived for the little gems of misfortune that would occur to redress the balance. When he left his rucksack zip undone on the roof of the car and his underwear blew away whilst driving through Sydney, only halfway through the holiday. When we emigrated and stayed in Singapore on the way, I rang his room pretending to be room service to advise him he was to stay in bed, as his parents had ordered breakfast in bed for him. I can still remember his excited little face sitting up in bed waiting. These are my special moments of petty revenge, but I've paid severely for them. As a so-called grown-up, he's now moved on to rearranging my ornaments whenever he can to irritate my OCD, replacing my face with a teabag label in all my photos and hiding all my teabags in stupid places.
My teabags!
Your teabags. Travelling with him is always an eye-opener. If he's not putting a fag in the Pope's hand at Madame Tussauds or getting us chucked off buses. Not sure why I had to pay the price for his petty long-running feud with the bus driver. He's convincing me to pop up a big hill in Scotland, which turned out to be Ben Nevis with no food or water. However, in fairness, he's had to endure playing bingo at the seaside penny arcades with me. We've shared a few crazy rental party houses over the years, and he was instrumental in my career choice by telling me you should come and do nursing. You get paid quite well to study and go to the pub and get pissed all the time.
Nothing wrong with that.
When I got sick, he shaved my head and for the first time ever bought me flowers, which was sweet, but made me think, shit, I must be sick. So why am I still friends with Chris? In all honesty, even though you're a complete nightmare, if I had to choose someone to have as a friend for 50 years, then fuck, it's you. Even though you failed dismally on the International Friends Scale, probably irrelevant as I made it up, the reality is you are the best friend I could ever have and I love you dearly. We laugh together like complete idiots now as we have done for years, and then as I'm funnier than you, I laugh some more, especially if it's at your expense. I know that despite the fact you can't remember to collect your mail for 3 months, you would be there for me instantly whenever I needed you. Our lives have by sheer chance remained close and I can't imagine my life without you. Okay, nearly done. Congrats for surviving 50 years of my company. There's a few people here tonight who would tell you that deserves a medal. Your cranky, irritable old man's ass lives 5 minutes down the road from me, and that's exactly as it should be. And now I've had my say, I've changed my mind about hearing your reply. Turns out it wasn't such a good idea after all. So I brought my king along.
Oh, it's a Scott Brock.
This is how you end the game, right? I just have to knock it over and it's game over. Thank you very much for listening.
Now you're gonna put up with Git Boys.
Get in there.
1,000 words more, told you, didn't I?
So firstly, I'd like to echo Marianne's sentiments by thanking you all for coming along and celebrating this occasion with us. We've got people, as Marianne mentioned, as far away from the Northern Hemisphere, my Auntie Jean, a long way to come. We've got some of Tony's posse from far-flung places around the country. We've also got Yal. Where's Yal? He's from far north Australia. Sadly, we've also got a few from the northern suburbs who managed to sleep. Thanks also to Andrew, Jesse and Ash from the band for donating their time. It would be foolish of me at this point not to take advantage of a captive audience and spruik the band a bit. We're called the Dear Johns and we're available to play at any gathering. We're basically band whores, we will do any gig. If you want to book us, that's brilliant, just don't do it through me because I might not be sober enough to remember. Thanks to Mim, again, from Four Seeds, for the amazing cake, which you'll see a little bit later on. It's a shame that such a great piece of work is going to get smashed up and scoffed by drunken yobbos, only to be turned into poo. Yeah, quote on the website. So anyway, for Marianne and me, as she's mentioned, this is more than just a birthday bash. It's a celebration of quite literally knowing each other for 50 years, which is pretty special. Poor old Marianne can accurately say she's known me for the entire duration of her life, like a prison sentence, while I at least had a few months off, waiting for her to be born. The tragedy of that, of course, is that I was, the only period in my life when I didn't know Marianne, I was still dribbling and shitting my pants, so wasn't able to fully appreciate it. Strangely, even at that age, I was aware that there was something wrong, something missing, something not quite right. Then out plopped baby Marianne, and suddenly there was meaning. I knew then I wasn't going to be the biggest loser in the extended family. When Marianne first suggested we make a speech tonight, I knew what she actually meant was that we get up in front of everybody and take the piss out of each other. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to rise above it, and I'm going to share with you some complimentary things about Marianne you might not know. So firstly, she has an exemplary moral compass. Many years ago, this is an anecdote that Marianne's already referenced, but I've got the true version here. Many years ago, our two families went on one of the annual pilgrimages to the English East Coast Riviera of Skegness. A stretch of beach famed for its unusually high turd-to-seawater ratio, and in which condoms were commonly mistaken for jellyfish. We were playing on the caravan park swings. I was getting a bit bored waiting for my turn, so I decided fuck it and shoved her off. And many people would have reacted violently to this flagrant case of bullying, become hysterical, crazy or irrational, but not Marianne. She ran off and told my mum, ensuring I'd spend the rest of the day in the caravan. Now, to some, this behaviour would be labelled as grassing, dobbing, snitching, or some other such pejorative term. But I take issue with that. She did the right thing, the moral thing. She went straight to the authorities and sought swift retribution. Now, I'm quite sure the noises that were subsequently wafting across the caravan park from the playground weren't coldly calculated bouts of fake laughter designed to compound my incarcerated misery, but the unfettered joy of a liberated young lady secure in the knowledge that justice had been served. Marianne encountered a bully, and rather than taking matters into her own hands, she did what more people should do in these circumstances. She cried and ran off to the authorities. A lesson I think we can all learn from. Then there's her remarkable generosity. In our early teen years, having emigrated to Australia, she was dating a young gentleman by the name of Simon Bucock. Simon had a car, and on occasion Marianne would kindly let me ride along with them. She even let me buy their condoms from the Para Hills chemist, so that they could enjoy a romantic tryst in the back of the car after having dropped me off, obviously. This, as you can imagine, was a real treat. How I loved walking up to the counter and asking for a packet of cheese and onion flavoured rib ticklers. It was a real night out for me. It's also worth mentioning, by the way, that she did that despite my merciless ribbing of her boyfriend's unfortunate surname and explosive acne. I have to go back to England for the next anecdote, and it's one that highlights Marianne's great entrepreneurial talents and innovative lying technique. It was Halloween sometime in the late 70s, and that meant one thing for us kids: trick-or-treating. You're all familiar with that, I'm sure, but at that time and in that part of the world, it didn't mean all the neighbourhood kids wearing fancy dress and politely knocking on doors with their parents asking for sweeties. It meant you and your mates going around in a gang extorting ordinary citizens out of cash at the threat of damage to their property. There's no dressing up either. It was just your normal clothes, which at that time meant you were either a skinhead, a punk, a rocker, or what was the other one, a new romantic. And we didn't have any new romantics in our gang, so we basically just looked like yobbos. And the words trick or treat back then actually meant basically give us some money, or we'll shove a stink bomb through your letterbox, take your gate off its hinges, let down your car tyre, or piss in your milk bottle. Not surprisingly, most people gave you a few pennies. That particular night, I was staying at Marianne's house, and she lived in a tiny village where everyone knew everyone else. So under strict instructions from Marianne's mum that there was to be no terrorism involved, we were allowed to head off trick-or-treating. It was myself, Marianne, my younger sister Sarah, who's out here tonight, Marianne's younger brother Mark, who's back in the UK, and some of the neighbourhood kids. Now I've gone off track. Marianne decided, however, that she couldn't be asked actually doing the slog of knocking on doors and asking for money, so she pretended to be ill. Great, we thought. one less person to have to divvy up the proceeds with. But no, possessing a guile and duplicitousness way beyond her years, she put on an Academy Award-winning performance to her mum about how unfair it was that just because she was ill, she wasn't ill, and couldn't take part in all the fun, she should still be able to share in the bounty. And we mounted an admirable counter-argument along the lines of, no way, you lazy ass fucker, but were sadly overruled by the ultimate arbiter in Marianne's mum. So that night, while we were out freezing our knackers off, exploiting the citizens of Watton in the Vale, Marianne was all snug and warm watching telly, being waited on by her poor beleaguered mum, secure in the knowledge she would soon be a couple of quid wealthier without even having to get off her arse. Lazy, some of you might say. Exploitative, perhaps. No, I call it ingenuity, and just another example of Marianne being one step ahead of the game. On now to Marianne's bravery and sense of social justice. We're back in Australia again, both in our late teens, early 20s, and both student nurses at the Royal Adelaide. The Botanic Hotel was our local, where we spent many a drunken night. One particular night, it was absolutely heaving, and being regular patrons, we knew most people there. However, there was a bunch of guys in that none of us actually recognised. I was busy pouring alcohol down my throat and talking bollocks, so I wasn't paying too much attention, when suddenly a rather distressed Marianne came up and told me that one of these guys had propositioned her in a rather sleazy manner. I mustered up the requisite degree of alcohol-fueled indignation and asked her if she wanted me to go and sort him out. Apparently it was the 40s. Now, there were two simultaneous and contradictory things occurring in my brain at that point. One, being fundamentally a coward and crap at fighting, I was hoping she'd say, no, don't worry about it. While two, also thinking, shit, I might have to go and get my face kicked in defence of my oldest, closest friend. But to my eternal relief, Marianne said, no, just leave it. So I carried on quaffing booze and being a wanker and thought no more about it. Some hours later, and by now the pub was so packed it was wall-to-wall people, Marianne grabbed me and said, come and watch this. As we shuffled our way through the sweating throng, heading for the exit, she pointed to the back of a bloke's head, only a couple of feet in front of us. Out of nowhere, she smacked him straight in the back of the head. I'm not talking a slap or a clumsy fumbled half punch, it was a deadly accurate full-fisted blow that any member of the SAS would have been proud of. And he went down like a sack of spuds. Some might call it cowardly to smack someone in the back of the head. Some might say it's low to attack someone when they've no idea who their attacker is. Not me, I thought it was brilliant. And Marianne has been my hero ever since. These days, actually, it's me who goes up to her and asks her to sort people out, so I'll stick her on to you. Anyway, I hope these anecdotes have given you an insight into the Marianne that I know and love. There may be a few of you here who have never met Marianne before, and all I can really say to you is, well done. To the rest of you, I know you'll understand when I say I love her to bits, and that she's just brilliant. I'm so thrilled that the fates have conspired to bind us together, born in the same tightly knit community in Nottingham, to mums that were best mates from the age of 14, moved away to different villages in later childhood, but otherwise coincidentally living only streets away from each other and attending the same primary school, God and worthy, for a couple of years in another suburb. Our respective parents both separated at a similar time. Our new stepfathers were both mates. And where are we? And we attended the same high school. We both went into nursing at the RAH within a year of each other, and as young adults cohabited in a number of different houses with various other friends, became domesticated at a similar time and had our two beautiful daughters, Chelsea, where she is, and Jasmine over here, within months of each other. Really, apart from me being the cool one and Marianne being the loser, the parallels are remarkable. If any one of those events had occurred slightly differently or at different times, it scares me to think that we might not be here today, together, still best mates. I don't want to labour the point, but for over 50 years we've been through a lot together, and the key word there really is together. Apart from my daughter, no one knows me like Marianne, and despite that, she still chooses to be my friend. All that's really left to say is, Marianne, I love you, and thanks for the last 50 years, it's been brilliant. Anyway, sorry to be gobbling on for so long, because I've got to move on to Tony now. Marianne and I have just turned 50, which makes us proper old, right? Imagine how Tony feels. He's about to turn 70, that's fucking ancient. The weird thing is, he doesn't seem to age. We've been calling him Cliff Richard for years, because he never looks any older. Incidentally, the other thing they both have in common is that Tony's a crap singer too. We used to think he'd stumbled onto a magical youth elixir and was secretly drinking great quantities of it.
red wine.
It turns out we were right to some extent. It was the superhuman vats of beer and red wine he was quaffing. It was basically embalming him from the inside. As Marianne has already pointed out, Tony is my stepdad and effectively Marianne's too. That's all academic though, because what Tony really is a legend. He had the misfortune of inheriting me when I was a prickly, smart-ass teenager, and it's a testament to how much he loves my mum that he didn't do a runner there and then. It's probably fair to say that for a while there we didn't always see eye to eye. You can imagine why. I was a mature and level-headed young philanthropist. And to be honest, I think Tony got a bit jealous of all my charity work for the local community. That's clearly nonsense. The truth is I was a bit of a dickhead and poor old Tony was now stuck with me. But even during that difficult early period of getting to know each other, we had some special moments. I'm going to reveal one now that tells you everything you need to know about Tony. This does come with a warning that I'm about to get sentimental. It was the day before we were heading off to London and armed with a one-way ticket to Adelaide, Australia. We were about to leave behind our home, our families, our friends, everything. That last night in Nottingham was about saying goodbye to the people we loved. In my case, it was a dinner at my Gran's house and they were all there, Gran, Grandpa, Auntie Jean, who's amazingly here tonight, Uncle Pete, my cousin Amanda, and especially my dad. The moment came when we drove away, watching them waving as they receded through the car window, not knowing when or if we would ever see them again. It remains to this day one of the saddest moments of my life, and I cried like a baby. Very quietly, a hand slowly extended from the front of the car and gently took hold of mine. Initially I thought it was Mum, but she was driving, so it couldn't have been. Plus, I didn't remember Mum's hands being that hairy. It was Tony. He didn't say anything, he just held my hand and let me cry, so I did. I'm pretty sure I squeezed the shit out of it too. And we all know how amazingly strong I am, so that probably hurt like a bastard. It was a wonderful, thoughtful, understated gesture that pretty much sums up Tony. A lovely, kind, gentle man, always there when you need him. All I can really say is, well done, Mum. You picked a good one. Just remains to say happy birthday, Cliff Richard, you old bastard.
I have no written statement. Hello? Testing. No, what can you say? Bloody hell. Look, great fun. What a challenge. Janice and myself from two bad relationships into a good relationship. I get Chris at 10, Marianne at 15. I'm in a house with me, Chris, who'd moved out to the outhouse, and I was left in the house with 4 women, 3 teenage girls, my wife. I have to get up really early in the morning to go to the loo, I tell you. But, well, look, I ain't going to bore you, but look, what can you say? They're grown up to be 2 great kids. Well, kids. Adults. Well, come on, as parents, your children are all your kids. So, absolutely magical. I ain't going to bore you because we want to get on with dancing and singing and drinking. So, I never intended to say much, and so I'm not. But,
It's very unusual for you, Tony.
it's okay. It's not unlike, normally I've gone for hours, but I love these 2 guys dearly. And you have to thank Marianne for the initial thought, and Chris for following through. And I'd just like to thank all my family and friends who've come here tonight. I can't thank you enough. It's Terry.
Hello.
Oh, not another.
Last one.
It'll be really quick. It'll be really quick. I promise. I'm not like that. So I just want to say that each one of these people standing here have had a massive impact on all our lives, all playing very important roles during my existence, and it's an absolute honour to be here celebrating their birthdays all together. I'm naturally going to start with Pa, because he's the oldest / wisest. Pa, it's really embarrassing for every single member of this family, as let's be honest, at all our family gatherings, you are the life of the party. Out drinking, out belching, out bantering, all the young'uns. George and I have struggled all our life to keep a straight face when hanging out with you, especially when you whip out a terrible joke and all that can be heard is your own laugh resonating in response. It seems only fitting to use the youthful term as hanging out in reference when we see you, because you are about as mature as the youngest person in the room at any given time, but we wouldn't have it any other way. You put us all to shame with your enthusiasm for life and knowledge, whilst always making an effort to pass on your life lessons to the younger members of the family. None of it's ever relevant, but it's bloody loved and cherished by all of us. G and I have many memories of going up to One Tree Hill together to visit Granny and Pa. It was like an exciting weekend away with the hip young grandparents. One weekend, George and I got our David Attenborough pants on, and we made some incredible documentaries of the local wildlife surrounding the property. However, this ended in traumatising disaster as we were maliciously chased down by Grandy and Pa's alpacas, whose pure intention was obviously to torment us and eat our souls. Hysterically crying, we ran back to the house, almost certainly scarred for life, hoping our big brave grandpa would protect us and hug us back to good health. However, we were instead greeted with a loud wheezy laugh in our faces, followed by "Suck it up, you pair of smelly bastards." Not exactly the response we expected, but nonetheless, it was an accurate reflection of our Pa and all his blunt brilliance and abnormally strong Australian accent. So, happy birthday, Pa, you smelly bastard. We absolutely adore you, your wheezy laugh and your random facts of irrelevance. Continue never growing up, as you're just so loved by everyone here. I just want to move on to Marianne. She's mother number 2. She's best friend to my 2 best friends, Mum and Dad. Marianne, you're one of those few people in the world that I feel knows more about me than I actually know about myself. You represent my dad's entire life, the past 25 years of my mum's life, and my entire existence. You complete our unconventional family whilst providing stability, warmth, and just pure love for Dad and I. You're my mum away from mum, and you've given me 2 amazing cousins who offered everyone in this family just more than we could ever have asked for. Your radiance literally shines through you and can be seen in your fantastically ever-changing fluorescent hair. Not even a cancer scare could dim your light, and this was a comment made by Dad repeatedly during that dreaded year. It was also recited by many that that testing year gave us all an opportunity to see your eyes unhidden by your fringe, and they were some of the most beautiful eyes this family had ever seen. 2 bright hazel almond-shaped shapes sparkling in the centre of your ever-smiling face. It must also be noted, however, that your wit, insults and sarcasm directed at my poor, innocent, polite and mature father are getting a bit too much, and I worry you're really slowly wearing away at his self-confidence, as he's really fragile. But on a serious note, you're an absolute treasure, and from hosting our Christmases, to insulting my father, to best friending my mother, to remembering my birthday better than Dad does, to providing us all with English sweets, and making us all laugh with your clever wit. You've given us so much, and we're a lucky bunch of sods here to be celebrating with you. Alright, so goodbye. That's my speech done. Happy birthday, Dad. It was good to see you. No, I'm kidding. Dad. I can imagine it would be hard for a lot of people here who knew Dad in your youths to truly believe that he's 50 years old now. Stereotypically, this is an age of leisure, maturity, wisdom, culture and sophistication, all of which you have none. You still force me to stop talking mid-conversation so we can clearly hear the sound of your own farts. You kick the football inside when I've patiently told you to take it outside so you don't damage anything. You handcrafted a top which simply read, fuck, just to make the social and political statement to all the elites of Adelaide who could be seen wearing those FC UK t-shirts. You've repeatedly walked up to passing police officers, tapped them on the shoulder and gone, "Officer, she's right there. The criminal you're looking for is right here. Put her under arrest now." All whilst pointing at me, an innocent 8-year-old child in her school uniform on the verge of tears. But once again, we just wouldn't have you any other way. You prioritised creativity and a don't give a shit about what anyone thinks about you attitude above almost all other values. And I'm incredibly grateful for this, as it's sadly one that not many self-conscious teenage girls are exposed to. You're a natural born boundary pusher, and it seems just by breathing you're controversial in spirit. But I think it's bloody brilliant. You may be one of the strangest people we all know, but you are also the coolest. You are beyond love, Dad, and I couldn't be more grateful for you and your stenching ways. You dollop of old mouldy crotchet. We really do need more people like you in this world to balance out the weight of our superficial, money-driven and narrow-minded society. I just want to say on a side note that Sean Craig Baker, one of the world's most special human beings, chose you to be his Mutu brother and best friend, as well as our Marianne. And I know that this is a title you both wear with pride, and so you should. He was a rare diamond on this planet, but the fact he chose you both highlights how rare you guys are too. Quick shout out to Mum and Trev and Dad for being the most dynamic and legendary parenting team anyone could ever ask for. I appreciate everything you guys have done for me and everyone in this room. Your admirably genuine friendship is a reflection of all your brilliance. In conclusion, this family is filled with nothing but love, fun and unconventionality. And despite the physical distance between so many of us, it hasn't weakened our unique bonds with one another, and I think they're fucking brilliant. So please can everyone raise a glass for these three wicked people on stage, and happy birthday.